Hey, my name's Sarah Rodewald, and thank you for joining me today. I introduced myself last time. I'm a realtor. I work in the Boston area, and I said I was going to do a little series on how to sell. So, I'm obviously new to being on YouTube, but I'm not new to being an agent in the area. I've been working real estate in some way, shape, or form for nearly the last decade, and in the Boston area. I'm just going to run through today, just real quick, some basics on how to get ready to sell. And then what I'll most likely do is I'll go back and deep dive into a few of those specific topics. So, when you're getting ready to sell your home, the one of the first things you want to think about is the how you're going to value your home. And most people, the first thing they do is they get on their computer and they immediately go and look at Zillow, which is fine. It's fine. It's not a bad thing. It's helpful in a lot of ways. And, it's great that Zillow has been able to take a lot of the mystery out of, is my value up? Is my value down? But it's not super accurate. And the reason for that is a multitude of different things. It's an algorithm. We don't really understand, how they came up with the algorithm. We don't really understand, what's going into it. I imagine it's probably, zip codes and things like that, but it doesn't take into consideration some of the details that an agent or maybe an appraiser, even someone who really has been in the field, like a lender or something, for that really understands like what goes into the value of a home. So really, even though it can be kind of a nice starting point, it's not going to be accurate. And the things that an agent would look at is they're going to look at the neighborhood. They're really going to look at the condition of the house, like the city. They might even look at the zip code, depending on, what is in that zip code. But, they're really going to try to stay within like a geographic area because, say for example, you live in a zip code where maybe there's a highway that goes through it. You're not going to compare homes on one side of the highway to the other side of the highway. It just doesn't really make sense. Because it's a different area, it's a different neighborhood. You can't get across the highway very easily, so it's not going to be the same. So typically we're looking at neighborhood zip codes, beds, the amount of bedrooms, the amount of bathrooms, the condition, the square footage, sometimes the age. If it was newly built, if it was built now, probably I would look maybe 2000s and up. Within like the last 20 years, maybe 15 years, I might consider that. Those kinds of things. Amenities, like the lot size, if it's a condo, typically I'm going to be, staying within that condo complex. But if there aren't any comparable properties in that condominium association, in that building, then I might expand outward. And the time that we're looking at, for these sales and to compare to your home are going to be within typically the last 12 months. Sometimes we might shorten it depending on the season. So if, like, say for example, I'm looking now, it's like February. Well, it's going to be February tomorrow, so I might be looking at the last 12 months, but really I'm probably not going to compare a sale that was in 2021, at the beginning of 2021 to beginning of 2022. So if I can keep it within the last 3 months or the last 6 months, depending on the season and activity, then, those are the kinds of things that I'm going to consider. And really, there's a whole, I want to look at, try to get at least 6, if I can narrow it down to 4 similar properties or 4 like-kind properties, or maybe 4 condos that are of the same square footage and things like that. And there's also a difference between if I'm looking at condos and I'm looking at homes. So, if it's a single-family home, then really I want to find the home that is the most similar, the absolute most similar. So style, age, if it's in the same neighborhood, great. If maybe it was built by the same developer, even better. anything kind of along those lines within the last 12 months. And, like a condo, we might look at, square footage more than we would if we were looking at a home. So what I mean by that is like a single family home. So what I mean by that is really like a single family home. I'm looking at the overall range of square footage, but I'm not going to price it based on the price per square foot. That's just a guide to get like the most like kind of single family home. Now with a condo, I'm really gonna look a lot more at price per square foot because it's within another building. I mean, there's many reasons why that is, but that's how we do the valuation of those. And I mean, I could get into it a whole lot deeper and, a whole lot more technical, but I'm not an appraiser, but I am really good at, analyzing the numbers and being able to give you a range of what your home is worth. Now, the last thing I'll kind of say about that is, amenities. So if you're in a condominium, association, you want to look at maybe what's available to you. You want to look at your what is included, things like that. If there are certain types of restrictions, if there's like a rental restriction, or parking, of course, is another thing, especially if you're closer to the city. Parking is a huge thing. How many parking spots? If you have garage parking, that can change the value tremendously. If they're, just anything kind of along those lines, we're going to take into consideration. But the main things are going to be square footage, a range of square footage. We're going to look at the lot size. We're going to look at bedrooms, bathrooms, the neighborhood, that it's hopefully in the same neighborhood, geographical location, zip codes perhaps, and, things like, age, renovations, condition, that kind of thing. So that's really like what I'm looking at to give you a range of the value of your home. And I'm going to, obviously take all that and try to adjust based on differences and, really give you an idea of what it would be worth compared to other homes in that area that have sold within the last 12 months. Also, I might consider looking at things that have just gone under agreement or are just accepted an offer. So, and you might hear these words too. You might hear the word contingent or under agreement. So contingent means that the offer is contingent on some sort of something. So contingent on financing, contingent on, inspection, things like that. So maybe contingent on, signing the purchase and sale contract. So that's just in Massachusetts. I know in some other states, it's there's a different system, but we have really like a two contract system. So you have the offer, and it can be, contingent if the offer is accepted, contingent on financing, contingent on inspection, etc. Or the under agreement, which is when you sign the purchase and sale. So then we consider it under agreement. On MLS, which then pushes out all that information out to all these places like Zillow and all these other, companies. It's user generated, so it depends on the agent on how specific they are. But I will consider those too because, if it's gone under, like the first day that it went on and immediately they accepted an offer, I might call up the agent and ask them, hey, what happened? Was it, did you have someone, that put in an offer right away and accepted it? Obviously, it's going to be a really good offer because a seller's not going to forego having a ton of people in and potential bidding more where they can get a higher price if, unless it's like really good. So typically if it, goes under agreement or has an accepted offer, goes contingent within the first week of the home being on the market, then pretty much you can expect that it probably went for asking or higher. And potentially, you might be able to get some inside details of, contingencies and things like that, which can help you determine value of what your home would be. And now I know that's a lot of stuff all at once. If you're not really sure, how to ask an agent or get an agent, I mean, I'm always willing to point you in the right direction. I can definitely help you, give you my opinion of value. Also, we would essentially come up with a comparative market analysis, which again compares what's in the market to your home, so we can give you a range of what the house is worth. If it was built brand new, there's a range, and if it needs some updates, there's it's probably going to be obviously less than a brand new home. So we're looking at this range to see where you fall in there, and then strategically are placing the price where we're going to attract the most people, get the most traction, the most people to come and see it, so that we create this desirability that then people want to give you more offers, or give up contingencies or things like that. So there's a whole strategy behind that. A lot of times we have people, especially you see it with for sale by owners, where they might, oh, my house is worth this because it's better than that house, and they're not taking into consideration any of these items, and a lot of it's opinion and not necessarily fact, of what's actually going on in the market. So in the most loving and gentle way, we'll give you, I'll give you an opinion that actually works, and we'll help you get the most for the most money for your home. So that's where I'm going to leave it today. If the other thing I would just suggest is, if you need an appraiser, I have people that can kind of point you in the right direction, and also inspectors. If you need somebody to come through like that and see what stuff needs to be fixed up or whatever. Oftentimes we'll do something like that if maybe there's been it's a probate case or something like that, or someone's unfortunately going through a divorce, where you really need an extra layer of opinion for the courts or things like that. So all of that stuff, happy to point you in the right direction, give you some referrals, and I think that's where I'll leave it today. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me at sarahrodewaldrealty.com, and I'll be happy to answer anything that you were thinking of, or you want me to go into more depth. And subscribe and like, and I will see you next time. Thanks.